Hello, I'm Adam Fleming, Certified Christian Life Coach, and I'm glad you've joined me today to learn the top 3 things that you need to know before you choose a Christian life coach. The first question we're going to answer is, what's the difference between Christian coaching and mentoring or counseling? The second one is actually a short Bible study that shows how Jesus was a coach. And the third question we're going to answer is, what areas of my life can a Christian life coach help me with? The first question we're going to answer today is, what's the difference between Christian coaching and mentoring or counseling? Coaching is a conversation with a change expert, someone who can help you move your life from good to great. A coaching conversation is future-oriented and client-driven. Mentoring taps into the knowledge of the mentor, offering tips on how I did it to the person being mentored. Coaching, on the other hand, assumes that you know your life situation, your calling, and your relationship to Jesus better than the coach ever will. And that the answer to those "how am I going to get it done" questions are best answered by the person being coached. In other words, if you'd like to find someone who can tell you what to do, perhaps a mentor would be the best way to go. On the other hand, if you want the somewhat more challenging, but often more rewarding task of figuring it out for yourself, with some outside perspective, then you need to find a good coach. Now, counseling tends to be excellent for people who have a lot of need for healing of past hurts. If you're fairly healthy in most areas of your life and you want to focus on your future, then a coach can help. Put another way, coaches are trained to listen and watch, pick up on themes, and then ask powerful questions to help you think outside the box. We may occasionally offer resources, but most of the time we'll encourage you to find as many options as you can for yourself. There's a strong possibility that you'll think of something I would miss and choose to do something a coach would never imagine. And that's one of the most exciting things about being a coach, is watching people take off on their own. The second question we want to answer today is, how did Jesus fulfill the role of a coach, and in what ways should my Christian life coach mirror Christ for me? Look, there was nothing coercive or underhanded about Jesus' power, nor his skill in relating to people. His goal was to elicit the deepest cry of our heart out of our own longing for a relationship with the Father. He wasn't trying to make anyone do what they didn't want to do. He understood that each person is uniquely gifted and uniquely called, and he dealt strategically with his disciples so that each one would be prepared to carry on the work of the kingdom after he ascended to heaven. So, instead of trying to convince people, he asked them powerful questions that revealed their hearts through their answers. Then, he called them to simply act on what they spoke. Let's do a little Bible study here. Here's a few of my favorite passages showing moments when Jesus asked powerful questions instead of spoon-feeding answers to people. The first one's out of Mark 8, verses 27 to 29. "Who do men say that I am?" And they told him, "John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, and others one of the prophets." And he asked them, "But who do you say that I am?" And Peter answered him, "You are the Christ." Peter's answer reveals the truth that the Father's made known to him, which is much more powerful because he says it in front of everyone else. It's a public confession of faith that puts all of his future action on the line. Coaches put responsibility for our actions squarely back on our shoulders. The second verse is out of Mark 10, 46 to 51. "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "Master, let me receive my sight." And Jesus said to him, "Go your way. Your faith has made you well." Now, why would Jesus ask what the blind man wants? Isn't it obvious? No, actually it isn't. Perhaps the blind man wants to join Jesus' followers. And maybe he's just asking for a handout, a crust of bread, a small coin. Jesus wants to hear him articulate his deepest and wildest dream, something that requires faith to even dream of saying, not something that would satisfy his stomach for one day. Coaches ask questions that challenge us to dream big. Our next verse is from John 8, verses 6 to 8. He said, "Woman, Where are they? Has no one condemned you? Now this question is powerful because he's giving her an opportunity to voice her own release from condemnation. To do so, she implies that she's also willing to forgive herself, which is a huge step towards change and growth. Coaches honor us by asking questions that allow us to move into the future instead of bemoaning the past. And here's the last verse. It's Luke 20, verse 24. Show me a coin. Whose likeness and inscription has it? So the Pharisees here are trying to trap him into sharing an opinion. Either opinion could get Jesus in trouble. On the one hand, if he says, give all your money to Caesar, the people will hate him. On the other hand, he could get in trouble with the state. Coaches avoid giving their opinions, not because they're weak or don't have one, but because they understand that their opinion is normally completely irrelevant to the outcome of your given situation. If Christ the Omniscient saw fit to ask questions rather than give answers, because the answer was so much more powerful when it comes from the human heart, how much more should we, as Christian life coaches who are far from omniscient, ask these kinds of questions instead of presuming to know answers? As you're exploring finding a Christian life coach, watch for people asking presumptive questions. Don't you want to pray more about the decision? Is really, you should pray more about the decision. The coach who asks many questions like this is either ignoring their training or didn't get much true coach training in the first place. So, your life coach should be adept and skilled at having a conversation where the reflex in any situation that you would bring up is a curiosity about how God is working in and through you, rather than an opinion about how you ought to be working for God. The third question we want to address today is, will a Christian life coach help me with things that don't have as much to do with my Christian walk or spiritual direction? As Christian life coaches, we take a holistic view because imbalance in any of the 10 wheel of life areas over the long haul can negatively affect our spiritual journey. So the 10 areas are work, church and ministry, spiritual life, personal development, physical stewardship, hobbies and recreation, pace of life, living environment, financial stewardship, family and children, marriage and single life, and social stewardship. For example, you may feel that your church, spiritual life, family and finances are all cruising along pretty good. Some other things are okay, but your work or your physical stewardship, your hobbies or marriage are lacking, one of those. A coach can help you establish SMART goals to realign those areas based on your values, and that's a key, based on your values, not the coach's. All these categories comprise our life, and all the components of your life affect your spiritual journey. Jesus cares about the whole you, and so do we. In conclusion, we've answered 3 important things that you need to know before you choose a Christian life coach. We've talked about how a coach differs from a mentor or a counselor. We've talked about how Jesus fulfilled the role of a coach. And we've talked about all the different areas that a Christian life coach can help you in. Thanks for watching today. If you'd like to connect with me, please call 574-238-7872, and we'll set a time to talk for a half hour and explore the possibility of a coaching relationship. Have a great day.